So I just came up with a mark allocation, so you always know what the question is out of. It says determine the slope of a line that passes through points D and E. So you should be labeling those 2 points. Noticing that, right, this is my formula, and so I'll just plug in. So -6 minus -8, and then it's 4 minus 4. Uh-oh, right? That should kind of ring a bell there. So this would really be -6 plus 8, that's 2 over 0, and that is undefined. Sorry. Undefined. It's not 0, it's undefined. You cannot divide a number by 0, right? 2 divided by 0, math error, right? You can't have that. 0 on top is fine, but not at the bottom. Okay, so I need, if you calculated this, you get 1 mark there and then 1 mark for saying that it's undefined. If you put down 0, I would take off a mark, so you only get 1 out of 2. And you can tell, right? If you want a visual, right? 4, -8 is right about here. And 4, -6 is just there. So this really ends up being a vertical line, right? And the slope of a vertical line is undefined. It's the nose of the Mr. Slope face, right? The nose is undefined, right? So think of it that way. You're not running. So out of 2, right? So question 2 now. Line ST passes through these 2 points. Line UV passes through these 2 points. Are these 2 lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay, so we're asking, are they parallel, perpendicular, or nothing? So what you need to find is the slope of each, of course. So slope of segment ST or line ST, X1, Y1, I would strongly suggest you label, right? So it's minus or -5 minus 7 over 2 minus -2. This will be positive, right? So you get -12 over 2 plus 2, which is 4. And that is just -3, right? So we have our slope there. So you get 1 mark if you figured out that slope. Okay, now we're going to find the slope of the other line. Okay, and we have our points, right? So we have y2 minus y1, and we have x2 minus x1. Okay, this turns into a plus here, so it's 6 minus 3 is 3, 7 plus 2 is 9. That turns out to be, right, the 3 goes in there 1 time, goes in there 3 times, so that's 1/3. You get 1 mark for this as well. Okay, and then you have to get 1 more mark for concluding, is this parallel? Definitely not parallel, they're not the same. Okay, that's out of the question. Cool. Are they perpendicular? Right, and they are, right? It's the negative. Like if you start here and you put a negative in front of it, you would turn positive, and if you flip it, you get 1/3. So check. You can check, right? You can go -3 times 1/3. This cancels out, you end up with -1. Lines are perpendicular. Slopes are negative reciprocal of each other, right? So because of that, you know that they're perpendicular. So you get you stating that lines are perpendicular would get you a mark. So you get one for each slope and then one for the conclusion of whether or not they're perpendicular. If you made a mistake on one of the slopes, you lose the mark, right? But you would, if you then said neither, because if they're different, you would just say neither, right? And then, so you still get the mark for a consistent conclusion here. So it depends on, because you're still showing your understanding. It's just you made a mistake up here, right? So if you, for example, forgot the double negatives, you would end up with a 5, right? 3/5, which is nothing, right? It's neither. So you lose the mark for the slope, but you still gain if you answer correctly over here, meaning saying they're neither because the slopes are neither the same nor are they negative reciprocal of each other. Keep in mind that negative reciprocal is important, right? Terminology. So moving on to question 3, we're going to graph each one of these and label them properly. Scale is already taken care of. X and Y is labeled. So all you have to do is put, I mean, sorry, folks at home, if you had to do this by hand, right? So I would assume all of that is there. We're not going to take marks off today if it's not properly labeled and scaled because you have the disadvantage, right? But let's start with this one. This is the y-intercept, this is B, and this is my slope, right? Slope intercept, that's why it's called that. And we know that our slope is negative, so we expect a line going down to the right. So we start with the positive 2, and then we use our slope to guide us. So because it's negative, we're going to go down 1 and then run 4 to get to our next point. And then down 1 over 4 to get our next point. So you should have 3 points on there. So you got 1 mark for graphing the first line. As I said, arrowheads, right? And then you label y is equal to negative 1/4 x plus 2. Somewhere on the ends, don't do it in the middle because it will make it too busy in here, right? So that's 1 mark for this equation. Then we have this one. We start at negative 3, and we have a slope of 3/1, really, right? And it's positive, so we're expecting it to go up. So you start at negative 3, which is right there, and you go up 3/1. You make a dot. Up 3/1, you make another dot. So there you have your 3 points allowing you to graph this line. Okay. So you get a mark for that one. I would say you lose one time, just one time, a half mark deduction for not labeling the equation, like not labeling your line. We won't take off every single time today. I'm more concerned with, are you finding the points and are you graphing it? Okay. I should be able to see nice big dots, at least 3 along the way. Then we have y is equal to negative 3. That's a special case. That's a horizontal line, right? And that the slope there is 0. Okay, so that is at negative 3 right here. And we just draw a horizontal line at negative 3. So you get 1 mark for that one. Not too hard to do if you know what it's supposed to look like. And then this is a vertical line. Slope is undefined here. 5/2 is 2.5, right? So it's 2.5 right there. Just a vertical line. X equal to 5/2. So 4 marks, 1 for each correct line. Okay. So don't be too generous if you made too many mistakes, right? But do give yourself a mark here that you believe you got, right? Keeping in mind that you need to label. If you didn't label the the line, you take off half a mark for sure, just one time, um, and so forth. Okay. Question 4. We're told that a line has an equation of -4/5 x plus 3. Okay. Emphasis right now on the slope. You want to write the equation of a line that would be parallel to this line. So you can go y is equal to, make sure the slope is exactly the same, and everything else doesn't matter. You could just leave it like that. You could go plus 1,000 if you want. You can go minus 999. It doesn't matter. This is what we're after. The slope is the same. Okay. A line that has the slope is going to run parallel. It might be really far apart, but it's still running parallel. Okay. Slope is the same. That's what I'm after here. Do not go plus 3 because then it's the same line. That's not a different line. So if you went plus 3, I would take off today just half a mark if you went plus 3 because it should be different than this. So plus 4, plus 2 would work. Anything other than the 3 would work. So now equation of a line that is perpendicular, you're looking at a slope that is the negative reciprocal of this. So since this is negative, putting a negative in front would turn that positive, and then you flip these values. So you're looking at an equation with a slope of 5/4. So y is equal to 5/4 x. Here you could go plus 3 if you wanted to. I'm going to go like that. You can go negative, it's up to you. But I'm after the slope. So 1 mark for each correct equation. All you need to look for there is the slope. Same slope will be parallel. Negative reciprocal slope will be perpendicular. Okay, so 1 of each. 2 marks there. So this page is out of 11. Now we're going to go to the last one, question 5, which asks you to go the other way, right? You're going from line, and I noticed that it's a bit blurry, so I apologize, folks, here. That if you opened the PDF version, you probably would have had a better time looking at it. But I did label the most important, perhaps the most important point, and then the rest is the grid is really bad. Were you able to come up with a slope, folks? I thought it was better than, but I'm thinking right there is a safe point to pick. So you need to collect your slope and your y-intercept. The y-intercept is 3, you got that. I know that the slope is going to be positive because it's pointing up. And then I'm just going to count. I went 2 and 4. 2 and 4. So rise of 2, run of 4, which is 1/2, right? So the equation here would be 1/2 x plus 3. That would be, so you get 1 mark for the correct slope and 1 mark for the correct y-intercept. Yeah, this is not a good graph. I think it's the printer. Next, you need to identify your slope and you need to identify your y-intercept. The y-intercept is -1, and the slope, I'm scanning. I think this is a good point right here. I'm just going to look at the PDF. Just want to make sure I get that right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. So again, your slope is going down, right? So negative. And then you're just going to find the vertical change over the horizontal change. So there's a 2-unit vertical, right? And there's a 3-unit horizontal. So it's rise over run. So my equation is -2/3 x minus 1. Again, you get 1 mark for the correct slope, 1 mark for the correct. It should really be 1.5 because the slope is harder to get, but for today it's just easier to go with 1 and 1. Okay, and last but not least, these should be easy to do. So this is line A, that's a vertical line. Okay, so line A, that would just be x is equal to -3. And line B, that would be y is equal to -2. So you get 1 for each of them, making this back page out of 6. Okay. So tally it up, it's out of 17, and then I'll ask you to submit it. Yeah. Which one? The front? Okay. Is that good? Or do you, yeah. So as you're uploading it, once you're done, get your booklets. We're going to continue.